Good morning, Athens, or could say Ljubljana. I have so many choices, Rahi, to say today. Another day, of course, from the ISB boys of covering the ongoing UEFA World Cup qualifiers from Europe. If that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned for this video. Rahi, let's kick it off. Yesterday belonged to Slovakia. Today belonged to more than one team, but let's start off with Hellas because they had quite so many goals. We talked about this team, Rahi. We talked about the youth. And today, Belarus found out firsthand what happened.
We should say Kalimera to all the Greek fans out there. What a performance. Man, this team is on fire. On fire. And it's all the young guys again. Karetsas on the score sheet. Solis on the score sheet. Of course, Pavlidis as well. It feels like everyone got a goal in this game. Everyone had a good time. It was like a Greek wedding, man.
They took all of a few minutes to score their first goal, too. It was like, okay, good morning and good night. That's what happened to the Belarusians in terms of that. And what happened, guys? Let's take a look here. Let me show this. Let me show the group. Got to show the group. Here's what things look like at the end of one.
Good point.
This is looking very interesting because, Rahi, we talked a lot about what was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Between Greece and Denmark. But before that, Scotland had something to say in the match at Copenhagen while the Greeks were hammering goals past Belarus. There were no goals to be heard of in the other match.
It's a brilliant point for the Scots. It's also a good point if you're Greek, because now you set up this game against the Danes with a chance to put some real distance. Let's see what happens. This is a huge test for this young, exciting, attacking Greek side, which is not normally the case. It's a huge opportunity, but give huge credit to Scotland, man. A big point on the road.
Yeah. So we're gonna let's get to the Scotland game now because there were a few names that I wanted to call out, and number one was Mr. Grant Hanley. For all you Scottish fans out there, what a performance by that man! Just was unbelievable in this match. And the other guy I want to say is, remember that goalkeeper, Mr. Angus Gunn, who got a lot of slack, right, in that first game against Germany in the Euros, put in a solid performance today, keeping the Danes out of the goal.
I'm glad you mentioned Mr. Gunn because he has a bad reputation after performances at the big stage. But I thought he was great, man. Look, he was under pressure. It wasn't like Denmark was creating a ton of chances, but he was solid, right? He was very solid. And to be candid, they didn't look like threatening a ton, Denmark.
They really didn't. So let's go back. We're going to shift between these matches now because we're going back and forth. Go back to the Greeks, right? So what the Greeks showed you from these youngsters dominating the midfield and this play, I think the Danes got to be very, very worried after what Scotland did, right? Again, Denmark dominated the match. They dominated the match, but I saw some very uncharacteristic things. Some people in the comments were telling me, oh, you were kind of underplaying the Danish midfield. I saw Højbjerg passing it directly to Scottish players sometimes, and they had them rattled a little bit. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, right?
Absolutely. And the Greeks are primed to take advantage of that because they'll concede possession as well, just like the Scots did. But they're even more dangerous going forward and counterattacking. We saw how effective they were at doing that. Remember, they've beaten some big teams recently. Of course, the big one was England. Don't forget this team beat England in London, right? So now there's a chance for Greece to really make a big, big mark. This has got to be the biggest game for all these young guys live.
It's huge. It's the biggest game for Greece in a long time. Biggest game for Denmark and Scotland. Now, all you Scottish fans out there, they have opened this thing up and said, look, unlike some previous campaigns where, there was doom and gloom from the start, this is a huge, huge result. You could see it at the end of the match. And look, Denmark, again, solid team. They didn't allow a goal this match. They didn't lose. But there was a lot of question marks about some of the play. I felt like that they just didn't create enough, right?
And you have to say for Scotland, remember that when they go home, Hampden Park is a tough place to play. So getting a point on the road is important for a team like Scotland because you go home, you have the home crowd. That's why this group is a lot more wide open than we thought initially, right? Look at all these teams could get points off each other. Greece, Denmark, Scotland, a lot of games left to be played, a lot yet to be decided. It's going to be fascinating.
Yes, but deservedly, you're wearing the Greek shirt today. They were the team that caught your eye from this particular group, maybe of the round, but there were some other matches to be played. So let's get into those. So, of course, this is how things finished off in this group. Let's go to the next group. And of course, we talk a lot about Norway and Sweden, but today we got to say Sweden let it go a little bit because it was Slovenia that evened things up at the end.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about how good this Sweden side is, how talented they are, how this could be a great time in the near future for Sweden. But they blew this game. They threw it away. They were good at times going forward. But look, conceding a late equalizer on sort of a routine aerial ball, you can't do that.
I can't do that, but I got to give Mr. Benjamin Sesko a lot of credit for that last play. He took on 3 Swedish defenders. Amazing.
They were
What an amazing play.
all over him. It's insane. It's fighting them off and they're literally bear hugging him, somehow able to head the ball on. It's a beautiful central forward play to win that ball and head it on. And then it's a great finish. It's a great finish. It's a great goal from Slovenia, but you have to feel aggrieved if you're Sweden.
100%. It was a match with look, and on this ISB show, we try to be as neutral as possible. We obviously are fans of Sweden.
What do you mean neutral as possible? I'm wearing a Greece shirt right now.
Yeah, we try to be neutral. We have traveled to Slovenia. We had a beautiful time spent in that country. I loved that country. So today I'm happy for Slovenia. But look, this was especially the way that Switzerland won their match, right? This was one that Sweden is going to want back because they were just there at the end, maybe a few minutes away from winning it. And look, great finish, great play by Sesko. But in the end, I think Sweden will feel hard done by this.
Yeah, they will. But also, I think the point is similar to the earlier group. It's going to be competitive. I'm not confident necessarily that Slovenia can't take points off of Switzerland at home. So, look, it's going to be an interesting group. Switzerland, certainly the most talented or most established side, considering what they've done in big tournaments recently. But Sweden has this central attacking core that's incredible. Again, so many more questions after day one than answers.
It's very tight group, and Slovenia has played very good matches against Switzerland in the past. So Slovenia, maybe there's something going on there. But I think the Slovenians will be very, very happy about that. I don't know too many. I only know Vala, man, and Dobre dan. I don't. We need some more like exciting football terms in Slovenian. So. That's how that match ended here. Of course, here's how that group looked. Moving on, Rahi, no Croatian jersey for you today. And why were you not wearing a Croatian jersey today? That's what I got to ask you. Where's the Croatian jersey today?
I mean, they barely survived against Faroe Islands, nearly conceding a late equalizer. This is the thing with Croatia. Sometimes they look incredible. Sometimes they look with that midfield, with those players, just a joy to watch. And sometimes they look a nightmare. And today they looked like a nightmare. Kramaric got the goal early. They kind of held on for dear life at times in the second half.
Don't you feel like in these matches, Kramaric is the one who always scores? That's what I feel like. Yeah, in these type of matches where Croatia only gets 1 goal, it's usually Andre Kramaric who scores.
Yeah, it's funny because he's had times where he's not been so well liked, times where he's very liked, I think. And he's just done a lot for this team over the years. And in some ways, he's underrated, underappreciated as a Croatian striker.
Yeah. It's very interesting because Czechia has been on a similar sort of course in this match again. Didn't really play that great in Montenegro. At times, Montenegro was a little bit dominant in certain phases of the match, and they tried. Montenegro threw it all out there, couldn't get the result they need. But it's interesting. These teams are marching along. Sometimes they have poor games, sometimes they have good games, and they're marching along to a collision course where they're going to face off each other.
Yeah, but look at the standings and look at the games played and look at what Croatia's done to date. Look, yeah, they're on a collision course the way the standings are now, but Croatia should win this group, and they should win it easily. They're 2 games in hand. Remember what they did head-to-head. I wouldn't be too concerned if I'm Croatia.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned, but I will say that last match they play against each other, the next one that they have to play, they have to go to Czechia, so that's not going to be that easy.
Yeah,
so.
but it was quite a one-sided affair in Croatia.
Yeah. Fair. That's a fair point. But so that's what happens in this particular group. We will move on to the next group, my friend. So that's what happened there. And the next group is, wait a second. France is not on top. Iceland's on top. What is happening here? What is going on?
Yeah, there's no news there. I mean, Iceland played Azerbaijan. Yes, a good day to be Icelandic, but look, France beat Ukraine, beat them comfortably. It's a good day to see your team at top of the table if you're Iceland, but it's not going to stay that way for long.
Well, they have to go to France, on Tuesday. So it's we don't know how long it's gonna take to that they'll be on top, but enjoy it while you can. Look, I feel like France and Iceland are always in the same group, and Iceland has a very poor record against France. So I don't envision much to change in that front. But look, it is what it is. It is what it is. So, anything more to say with the way things are here?
No, nothing to say.
Nothing to say on that. All right. And that's that. We'll just finish it off by showing you the final group. We won't talk too much about this, but of course, we cover Norway a lot. They weren't playing today. The other two teams in the group, Rahi, they got it done today, but nothing really changes, I think, on top.
We have to talk about Gattuso, his debut as Italian manager.
Fair.
And it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Yes, an easy opponent. But considering where Italy's been, considering they've missed out on 2 consecutive World Cups, Italy has to take every victory they can get and cherish it. And it looks like, maybe they've turned over a new leaf. Maybe Gattuso is exactly the fiery character they need. So good start. Good start for him.
It's a good start, man. And where it's going to come down to, I think, is they have to make up quite a bit of goal difference. And of course, if Norway takes care of business, I happen to have said that I think the Norwegian team is going to make this World Cup. So I'm a little bit biased in this particular case. But if I go back to the standings and take a look, if you see, Norway's quite a good deal ahead on goal difference. So assuming Norway doesn't slip up against Moldova, which is their next match, and assuming they take care of business against Israel and Estonia again, I think it's going to be a lot for the Italians to make up in this particular group.
Yeah, but they get off on the right foot, right? 5-0 against, an Estonia side that is a side.
Yes,
is a team.
Yes, it's fair. That's a fair point. But okay, today belonged to the Greeks today with winning by 5 goals. They got a little bit hard done on the penalty too. I didn't really love that they got that penalty. It was kind of off the guy's shoulder, I felt like. But hey, it is what it is. So everyone out there who's enjoying this video, please subscribe to the channel. Let us know your thoughts of who is going to get through from the groups that are here. We'll of course be back with more UEFA World Cup qualifying action. Right, last thoughts. We're finishing up.
Yeah, it was very quick work the Greeks made. Kalimera, and then quickly it was Kali Dikta.
All right, see you all next time. Keep watching the beautiful game. See you all very soon.